Board of Adjustment special meeting. Can we get the roll call, please?
Brianna Brakefield.
Here.
Stacy Barker. Scott Kraft.
Here.
Kenny Littlefield.
Here.
Haley Darnell.
Here.
Okay, so 4 here, so it's declared a quorum. Number 2, discussion and possible actions to approve the minutes of February 22nd, 2024 special meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
A second.
Okay.
All in favor of approving those?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay. So now we're going to have a public hearing.
I'll make a motion to enter public hearing.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we are now entered a public hearing. The applicant, Sarah Sherwood with Heartland Suites for owner and property Brett Fleek for special exceptions for residential care facility. Lots 1 and 2 in Block 2 of the Colonial Estates Edition. The address is 901 Colonial. That is an amended on the memo. To the town of Pryor Creek, Mace County, Oklahoma, according to the record plat thereof. So is there anybody here that is against this action taking place? Okay. We can just start this way and then we'll go that way. Okay, so just come up, say who you are, come up to the mic, please, and tell us who you are and why, where you would live, or why you're in that area and you're opposing it, and then your reason for opposing.
Okay. My name is Michelle Boker, and we actually share a fence line with this residence. And
So you're on the right side?
yeah, we're at 462 Southeast 9th Street. And our concern is that it could possibly decrease our property value. We're concerned that it could bring additional, 9th Street is already really busy, so we're concerned that it's gonna bring additional traffic to the street.
So you're on the east side, right?
What's that?
You're on the east side, correct?
Yes.
Okay, on 9th Street.
Right.
Okay.
And then the clean and sober house that was in there before, we had nothing but problems with it when it was there. So we're just really concerned that we're gonna have problems like we did with that.
Okay, and what was there before?
It was a clean and sober house.
Okay. Okay. Next. Okay.
So, same residence. But this is one of the things we found in our backyard. It's a meth pipe. Or somebody cooked their meth and shot up and threw this over the yard in our yard.
Okay.
In the same area, I constantly found medication that was thrown over the fence, left and right, pills. And then the right away, kind of a crappy picture, but that's the property in question, that's our property, but anyway, the right-of-way fencing, whatever, in between there, the sections. There was nothing but beer and alcohol containers, Mike's Hard Lemonade, blah, 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 constantly littering. You had people loitering in between the fences, just hanging out. It almost felt like you were getting cased every day.
Is there an alley in between you?
There is, it's kind of like almost like a four-way intersection back there of alleys.
Okay.
And it's just ridiculous.
And do they have a fence?
Pardon?
Do they have a fence?
There is, but it's dilapidated.
Do you have a fence?
Yes.
Okay. When did you, those pictures that you took, when was that taken?
I printed off the one, this is off Google Maps.
No, the one with what the objects that you found.
The light bulb, that was back in 22.
22, spring of 22.
Okay.
Yeah, I turned that into the Pryor Police Department,
Okay.
so they came and picked it up so that they'd make a note of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Patty Job. I have lived in Pryor for eons. But anyway, let me tell you what I want to say. My house was the first house built on Colonial Court. It was built in 1973. And through the years, the houses were gradually built on the circle. We all became friends. Some of them have moved since then. And our children were safe enough that they played on that circle drive. It was perfect playground. And there were very few cars, and people were careful. 9th Street has always been a busy thoroughfare. We all know that. It's just like a racetrack. It's gotten worse. Okay, if we change this, it will get steadily worse. It is a thoroughfare from the highway down to the fire station, the high school. They're going to build a new stadium down there. And so 9th Street can't handle anymore. It just simply can't. And anyway, we felt safe at that time. Now we don't, or we may not. And what we want to bring to your attention is that not only, excuse me, not only will it be dangerous, but it will devaluate or depreciate our houses. That was never meant to be a commercial zone. Now, there is a church, if you remember, there's a church that's located catty-corner across the street, but it has a very large parking lot, especially for that size of church. It fits in very well to our neighborhood. But these people right here have no parking area. And that would be a big, big concern of people pulling out on 9th Street. And I know about this house firsthand because my mother, when she was alive, moved from Commerce and lived in Pryor for a while with my dad. And then she lived later in the Fleeks. It was really a retirement, assisted living is what it was. I was in that house several times because of my mother. And it never was treated as a commercial center. It was a home, and the people felt safe there, but that's what it was built for. It was built like a regular house. It had, I think, 9 bedrooms, and they were all women, and the people that lived there, they lived like 2 to a room. They had a dining room, they had a kitchen, and everything like that. So it was not a so-called commercial. It was a family-oriented facility. Okay, if they want to use that, it should not be for commercial. It would greatly affect not only our Colonial Court, but Colonial Drive. It would affect a lot of that. And it would serve no purpose. Well, it would for them, but not to us.
Okay.
And something else I was going to say. Probably the thing that we're most concerned about, besides it being a detriment to our neighborhood, it would devaluate our property should we choose to sell and move on. And as I'm the oldest resident there, it would affect me. And I don't want to have to move.
Okay.
But if it comes to that, then I might have to move. And I don't want to have to move. I've lived there for about 50 years. So I'd appreciate it if you'd take this into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Everybody good on this side? That is against, okay, over here.
My name is Mac Erdman. We live over there on Colonial Court, and we've only been there about 2 years. It's the cul-de-sac that's right there. Within that 2 years, obviously, if this is the same property owner, the business, the establishment that was there before the halfway house, wasn't managed correctly. There was no supervision. There was, in 2 a.m. in the morning, men walking down the fence line and then coming down our fence line to the point where we installed security system and got exercised our right to carry. So because of that, we didn't feel secure where we were living. We were happy at first living in that cul-de-sac, and it's a great place. The neighborhood's fine. Everybody's good. But just the activities that were going on late at night, there was different fireworks in the middle of the night, all sorts of different stuff, men walking down the alley. It just didn't seem like it was a good thing. So if it's under the same property manager, obviously there's not going to be supervision. It's not going to be taken care of the way it should be. What stipulations are going to be what stipulations are going to be enacted to protect or to provide for the community around there, for Colonial Drive, Colonial Court, that's going to benefit us and not be negative? Because in the past, previously, it's obviously been negative. Due to whether it's poor supervision or whatever it is. I don't know the man involved, so I can't speak for his character. But just that alone, as well, living there, being outside with our kids while our kids are playing, and there's cars constantly coming in there. Since that place has left, the halfway house has stopped, the traffic has reduced in our little cul-de-sac, but I do remember sitting out there and having to tell my kids, get up here, get out of the road and stuff, because cars are just going through there like crazy with no regard. So I also agree with the property value and the decrease of the property value because of a commercial business there inside of a residential home. It's meant to be a residential home. So those are the primary reasons that we're against it. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody else from this side?
Hello. My name is Dora Branham. I live directly north, right across the street from this facility. Once I moved in August of 2022, and within those 3 months, I had to file a police report. I had to speak to a federal parole officer, and I had to talk to the district attorney. I'm a single mother of 2 teenage daughters. When we moved in, when we come and leave, these people that lived there previously would sit and stare at us walk in and out of our home. I had a guy steal my dog out of my backyard, confront my daughter at 5:30 in the morning at my fence line feeding my pets, and told her that they were trying to make friends because they were ratting them out coming across the street. I had to install security cameras. I had to chain my gates shut. And the same people that want to open this facility own that facility. They've obviously shown that they don't know how to manage and watch these people. So I'm afraid the result will be the same thing. I live alone right now. My daughter goes to college. She comes home. I don't want to have to be concerned about that. I don't want to have to leave. I mean, I moved there because I felt safe because it was close to the high school. I teach elementary kids. I coach. I wanted my daughter to be in a safe place where I left. I would feel safe with her being alone for a few hours. And with a facility like that over there, I don't feel that. So there's young kids that walk down that street back and forth all day. And they don't need to be interacting with that. We have enough problems with young kids. Why expose them to more? It just does not make sense.
Are you across the street on 9th Street?
Directly across north of them, yes, sir.
Okay.
So, yep, and I see there were police cars there all hours of the night. You know, we were constantly, the noise, the sirens, it was constant. So if they can't manage it any better than that, they don't need to have another business like that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to do my best to speak. I've had surgery. Can you understand me?
Yes, I can.
I live next door to Dory on 25 Ross Street. I've lived there since 1978, so 40 plus years. The Fleeks, I think, have owned it for many years. Like Ms. Job said, they had a nursing type facility before. And then in 2021, they changed it over to a halfway house / drug rehab. When it first moved in, I thought, that's weird, but okay. They had like 13 guys and a counselor, no big deal. He was always visible. Same vans, all of that. Within 6 months, downhill. You never saw counselors. All you'd see is the garage door open, which when I sit on my porch, I'm facing their garage. They would stare, hoop and holler, all of them doing their thing. Sometimes they'd swing out in the yard, out into Ninth Street, playing with their chairs and whatever. And I would hear them say, you better get back across the property line. You're not supposed to be out of it. And I thought, okay, now I know what facility this is. I had them come knock on my door requesting extension cords and numerous other items, to the point where I do have a concealed carry, which I now keep it in the living room, just in case. I haven't put it away just because they closed down at the end of 22. There's no concern of what it's going to be if you allow this exception. They've shown what their propensity is to put in there. And everybody's voiced the same concerns. Property values, safety. For the first time in my life in 40-something years, I don't feel safe in that house when they were over there. That's not a way to live after 40-something years. There's an entire countryside around Pryor that they can find a home if they want to do that. My understanding is they've got several already. Go get another one. There's, I think, 4. There's a daycare, Curtain Climbers, about a half a mile down the road. There's Jefferson School that's 0.2 miles away. Lincoln School that's under a mile away. Pryor High School that's a little over a half mile away. Pryor Junior High that's a mile away. Thunderbird Youth Academy that's about 0.3 miles away. And there's at least 20 to 30 kids during the school year walking up and down 9th Street going to and from. When that facility was open, I wasn't born yesterday, but I know what a drug deal looks like. When people walk up, do a high five, and walk away, they're making an exchange. They did that constantly. Was it enough to call the police? No. You gotta have proof. Did I file that as a police report? No. What I did file a police report with was when Dory's dogs were being messed with. Because she had just moved in there, I knew there was a single mother with 2 girls. The guy that came across, we found out later, was on probation, federal probation for armed burglary. That's not a drug rehab. I don't know what the hell they were running, but that's dangerous. Very concerning. Filed the police report with him. When I saw the guy, I didn't know her yet, but I said, hey, because I knew those were her dogs. He had them out in my yard. He comes over, and I said, what are you doing? And I can't remember the name he gave me, but he acted like he knew the dog. He said, oh, this is, I'll say Snoopy. This is Snoopy. I'm just doing this and that for her. I asked her about it later. She never knew who he was. So nothing kept them in bounds like they wanted to claim. So my concern is, yes, property value, but more importantly, safety. Somebody's going to get hurt. And I would prefer you just stop it from happening, because we already know what it's going to look like. They showed us. We don't have to guess. They showed us what their propensity is to put in there. So I would appreciate it if you would deny this exception. I'm assuming that's what we're here for, and that not be permitted to be put in.
Okay,
That's all I have.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, so is anybody here for?
I am, I might be the only one.
Hey, come on up.
Go ahead and
Come on up.
So my name's Sarah Sherwood, and I was the one who proposed a special use permit for Heartland Suites. And I
I
don't
need
know,
to use the mic, sorry.
Okay. I would love to talk to you guys, because I'm just honestly blown away and honored that you all showed up here today, because you care about the community. And that is the most important thing to me, is pouring into communities. And so I'm leasing the property from the previous owner. We have a lease with option contract, so it's essentially the deed's working to transfer. And so I hear all of the concerns. I heard some amazing stories about a previous residential care home. And that's very similar to the model we follow. It's a residential assisted living. So that means it's people ages 55 and up who need some extra care with life. They need help taking their medication. Maybe they're starting with memory care. They're not people who drive anymore, so we won't have to worry about those extra cars. There will be care staff to help with that. We prioritize safety. I heard those things about security. I'm also a mental health therapist, and I work for the state, so I understand the concerns about, law enforcement coming in and what that looks like. And the beautiful thing about residential assisted living is we value community. We value the home-like setting that makes it different. It's not that big box facility where you have, 100 people, very limited care staff. We really make people feel at home. That's our whole motto, is there's no place like a home, there's no place like home. And so I think that can put a lot of the concerns to ease. I struggled to hear a couple people who spoke, so I'd be happy to continue addressing things. But the reality is, and I have some statistics that are kind of crazy. The first one is that by 2030, all baby boomers will be over the age of 65, which means that 1 in every 5 residents in the U.S. will be of retirement age. This demographic shift is pressuring the assisted living industry to expand rapidly to meet the increased demand. And we don't have the available beds in Oklahoma to meet that need. The need in Pryor would not be met with that population, and we would hate to see the people who have poured into this community, that senior population, have to go out of town because they can't find a place to take care of them in this city. And so that's what this is all about, keeping it a home-like setting. And another thing about this specific property is I heard a lot of you mention it was designed for this residential care. All of the bathrooms are suitable for people to come in with wheelchairs, to come in with those special needs with a caregiver. And the house was on the market for over a year. And that, with it not being taken care of, there was a roast infestation we've been having to take care of. That decreases property values. But when we come in, we want to make sure it looks like a beautiful home. Not that it doesn't look like that commercial building, but that's going to keep those property values and the community safe. So I just wanted to share those things and address that with you guys. I'd be happy to address other things, but thank you guys so much for hearing this, and thank you guys for being here today, and honestly for advocating for the community. And I'm here to do the same thing for a special population.
Okay, thank you.
So you need to exit if you're done.
Somebody else is wanting to come in
Okay.
against.
Okay, that's
Come
fine.
on up.
My concern with making the exemption, while I hear everything she's saying and it's all valid, you make the exemption, that doesn't stop them from doing what they've done before. That doesn't stop that, and then we have to fight to put it back if they change it. When they moved out in 2022 with the drug rehab, they had over 50 guys living in there. That's according to the police officer that took my police report. And it was within a month, it was shut down after the police went over there. 9 bedrooms, 50-something men. That's uncalled for. Like I said, they've already shown what they're going to do. It just doesn't need to be there. Everything she says is valid. I feel her concerns, but that just opens it up to not do what she's saying, but to do what fits under that umbrella. And I just would really like for it to stay the way it is. Just wanted to add that.
Thank you. So is there anybody from the city that wants to provide input? Okay. So I need a motion to exit the public hearing.
I'll I'll make the motion to exit public hearing.
Second it.
Okay. Next, discussion
No,
and
you
possible,
need to take a vote to exit,
Okay.
sorry.
vote to exit?
Yeah.
Sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, 4, discussion and possible action on public hearing for Sarah Sherwood with Heartland Suites for owner and property Brett Fleek for special exemption for the residential care facility. So,
I need a motion.
need a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second.
We are open.
Okay. Open for discussion.
So part of my concern is probably, part of their concern is, what guarantees it to stay this way? You know, because 6 months, 9 months down the road, it don't work out, then it's back to where it was.
Yeah, so, you know, I wish
You
I
need,
had a-
you'll need to go ahead and come back up here, I'm sorry. They may have some more questions for you.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I wish I had a crystal ball that I could say
Understand.
everything's going to be the same. But what I can say is going through the process of becoming a residential assisted living, I mean, it is a challenge on its own. So we're regulated by the state. We'll have an administrator. You have to have annual inspections. And the thing is, there's no other use for this property. We haven't had a family come in. We know the regulations on group homes. It just doesn't fit. And so we know that we're getting licensed for the rest of this year, and our plan is to continue. And, you know, we really do need the community to support us in that because we want to have neighbors that they love and welcome. So I know that because we're going through this process, we're getting licensed for this next year, and our plan is to continue with that and to grow a business that if it eventually sells, it's that same model of care because it works and the community values it as well.
So is there a plan, what you're going to do to the house?
Yeah, so
Is
really-
there like, do you have like floor plans? Do you have what you're going to do to the house? Are you
Yeah.
going to improve the house? Are you going to?
Yeah, so we've done some just we've done cosmetic updates as far as painting, brightening it up, fixing a lot of we've had landscapers come out, we have people coming in for quotes for that stuff. But the home is staying the same as far as the 8-bedroom, 8 baths, because it's perfectly laid out. So we're not gonna go busting down walls and ripping down things. I mean, it's literally the perfect home to serve this population. So it's really just about making it look as inviting as it once was and once felt, and then improving the landscaping.
So they've come out for the landscape, but they haven't done anything with the landscaping yet, right?
Sorry, what was that?
You came out for the landscaping, but they haven't done anything with landscaping, right?
Oh, we had a landscaper come, and it looks like time again to do the bushes and the cleanup. And honestly, there's a huge puddle in the back. It looks like some of the leveling needs fixed and improve the basketball quarters that were there and make it eligible because we want to have a physical therapist come in so they can enjoy outside and maybe watch a movie outside in the summer. So just things like that.
Okay.
You mentioned you're a mental health professional. Where are you currently working, and is that part of where you're working?
Sorry, I actually have hearing loss, so if you wouldn't mind just speaking up a little bit.
Where are you currently working, and
Yeah.
is that part of this facility? And
It's not. So I currently work for the state. I work as it's called a Quintonwood specialist. And so I consult on cases for child abuse that come in with anyone with a perceived or a diagnosed disability to make sure that they're checking for safety. I also work at Transitions as a trauma and abuse counselor. I work with families and children, and that's something we make sure to have for our staff, so we'll have them make sure they can get their mental health needs met because it's a really hard job, and you're seeing, people that come to the end of their lives, and, we want to make sure we support everyone in that. But we'll offer the residents' mental health, make sure that's taken care of, but I don't think it's ethical for me to combine the two. And so that's why we've actually found our administrator we'd like to hire who has 20 years of experience in assisted living. And so she'll be making sure all the needs are met. Also, some of the regulations are you have to have a RN. We'll partner with a local doctor and a dietitian. So we'll have a big power team to support the people in there.
What is the, so some of the stuff that was already on the application, what's the staff to client ratio that is going to be
Yeah.
in place?
So we're actually waiting on the architect to tell how many we can be licensed for, because you have to follow state regulations. We don't want it to be overcrowded. That's a big thing for us. So there might just be a couple rooms that 2 people can stay in, but the rest will be single occupancy. And so as far as that will depend on the staff to care ratio. It's definitely lower. So we would never have more than 1 staff overseeing 6 residents. We'd ideally like it to be like 1 to 4 is always the goal. And we would have like a very maximum of 12 residents, and it all depends on their level of care needs. So, you know, we can't have multiple people with really, really high needs that aren't as independent, because it would just be a lot harder for the staff.
Lots of discussion over the concerns with this potentially becoming a sober living environment or home for sober living. Is there anything in the works for that being a backup plan, or has that even been a discussion?
Absolutely not. It's not in the backup plan. It's not a plan. It doesn't fit with what we think would best be for the property. And I will say, we saw the damage in the house. We're fixing the damage in the house from the sober living. I have family that runs sober living homes. I work with that population, so I absolutely understand the concerns there. All I can give you is my word, and I know sometimes that's not good enough when you've been burned or you haven't seen things go well, but that's not our expertise. We went to Residential Assisted Living Academy. We just have a power team that's specialized in this population. And again, like, it's so rare to find a home perfectly laid out to meet these needs. It would just be such a waste to see it go elsewhere in a different direction.
So some of the care, is it Alzheimer's care you're gonna have there? So they're gonna be able to take care of the residents while they're there, or
Yeah.
gonna be locked doors and?
Yeah, great question. So we'll have absolutely heightened security. That's critical. We've started designing the house so that when people decline in memory or that starts to be something, like all the doors are a certain color, the bathrooms are a certain color, the exits are a certain color. So there's little moments like that. And then they have the appropriate locks. The caregiver to staff ratio is so appropriate that it won't get to that needs. But once they reach that level, it's really time to transition into more of a nursing home, which is different from the residential assisted living home. So we want to make sure that we can spot that for, you know, the early symptoms, but that's not what we would specialize in.
So will there be a live-in at all times with the residents?
Absolutely, and that's a requirement from the state. And they'll be awake the whole time too. That's kind of one of the things, so it's not people just like spending the night there.
Oh,
They're
of
awake
course.
and caring, yeah.
Of course, there'll be a rotating
Yeah.
staff and everything else there too.
Is there going to be, I haven't heard you say 55 and over, is that correct? Is that the age?
And I will say the reason we do that is because sometimes there's siblings that want to move in together that haven't been able to live together, and to see them get to reunify where they can, you know, get the level of care needed is why we have it at 55. But, you know, honestly, the population's really 80 and above is what really needs this level. But sometimes there's, again, a sibling or a mother-son, and maybe the son has a disability and wants to live with his mom, so that's why that's the age.
So I was researching today your website,
Uh-huh.
and your website isn't very clear. It has statements of how great the place is and how they feel comfortable living
Yeah.
in a place that
Absolutely.
it doesn't exist at 901. It doesn't exist there.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out, and I absolutely will address that. The model that we follow, it's actually from like the Rala Academy is where we went to school to learn this type of model, and so through that we're able to utilize the people that we would partner with that have several homes in other states of this same setting. And so that's where we get a lot of the reviews and things from that model of care.
So use your 5-star reviews from those care facilities
That's correct.
instead of a care facility that you manage or that you guys own or run.
And that's because that is the goal for this. And so that same model of care and those same oversights, that's the component of it. And now we're implementing it here. Obviously, we haven't started the level of care yet because we're waiting on approval. So,
Well, because that's why before I came here, I went by to look because I didn't know if this place, if it was open, if it wasn't open.
yeah.
But when I went and looked, what I looked on the website and what other people would see is not being represented in any fashion for the website.
Is there something else from the website that you feel like misrepresents so that we can clarify that? And I definitely appreciate you bringing that to as a concern.
I sure wouldn't make it to where this was a review on yourself or review on 901 Colonial, but maybe the goals and aspirations of a business that you're wanting to take over or you're wanting to do, you can use these as that landmark or something that you would want, a benchmark that you'd like to follow. But I wouldn't go and put, because what would happen is that even if this would get opened, somebody goes to that website and looks for what you're advertising, they're not, if it was me and my loved ones, which I could actually live there, that is sad. I would turn around and leave because it's not going to be a reflection of what is showing up on. So I don't know if that's not true, then I don't know what else may or may not be true.
Absolutely. I definitely appreciate you saying that. And it's something that I will absolutely talk to and I'm going to bring this to attention of the other people opening homes in, some other states and the academy, because I think that you have a valid point there. And that's something I'm willing to change, of course. And so I would just hate for that to be the reason that we don't serve the population needed. And I just want you to know that I hear what you're saying and I want to address that.
So is Heartland the agency that you're contracting with? Is that who is going to run this? Like, what's the connection there?
Yeah, so Heartland Suites is basically doing business as the company, Turbo Property Solutions, so.
Do they have other residential facilities in the area?
This is the first one for Heartland Suites. It just follows the same model as some others.
As the others?
Yep.
Now, is Heartland Suites owned by another agency or another individual that does in fact have other residential suites, or is this the first time attempt at this?
This would be our first residential home, and we're the sole owners of that. We do have another investor, and she's also been a lifetime therapist in Idaho, and so she has similar homes that serve the population, but she's not a part of the company.
Okay.
But just good soundboard.
I do also, the advertisement is not a sole reason not to, but it's a sign, okay? I'm also concerned about parking, because even though you have you have a big driveway, but you're right there on the corner. So if you have people because you would have people visiting these people, right, the residents, and they would have to park in front of the house. That's the only place they're gonna park. They're not gonna park, probably not gonna park in the driveway where your garages are, right? So where would guests, where would you foresee guests parking at?
Yeah, I do think we can have a designated area where, and maybe contract with some other businesses like the church or the coffee shop if they can walk in. But it is a 3-car garage, and then, there's three spaces in the driveway. And so I don't, unless there's a town event happening, which, we're hosting like a special celebration, I don't see that being a challenge, but it's something I'm willing to continue working on and investing. But I absolutely hear the concern there. Again, our residents won't have They typically don't have transportation. And actually, one thing that we are investing in is a shuttle bus. And so if it's something where we can park down the street and bring the shuttle bus to bring the residents in, we're absolutely happy to do that. Or bring the family in as well, to not have an issue with parking.
Because I can see his concern on major holidays. You know, because if you have,
Yeah,
let's say you have eight residents staying there,
yeah,
and they have children, they have grandchildren and everything else, you could have a possibility of 50 to 60 people in the resident at the same time.
yeah.
So I can see the concern there on parking. But if
Yeah.
you're willing to do a shuttle, you know.
And I will say, typically for the holidays, families want to bring their residents to their home, and we really encourage that. So I think that will help, but definitely with the celebrations, I'm excited about the shuttle bus.
I think we have one more person who'd like to say
Yes.
something. Go, can you?
I'm just gonna, no, I would rather sit here and talk. I can use my teacher voice and say, the thing is, the parking is a big problem. It not only would affect our area, but Colonial Drive, and they'll park down there, and there's no parking facilities. I've lived there long enough to know that there's no parking, and this sounds more like, what you're saying is wonderful, and I have no problem with trying to help people, but what you're mostly talking about is like a hospital zone. You're trying to combine too many things together. It will not work.
So
I'm sorry to say, it will not work. And your ideas are great, but put it someplace else. Don't put it in a residential area. Pryor has a lot of vacant lots that would be big enough and would take care of all your needs. Don't waste your money on this other.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, and I appreciate the support and the concern. I think that maybe there could be something where we could say, you know, no, if you're at this home, like no parking X, Y, and Z, and look to make sure that we're blocking that off appropriately. It's definitely not a hospital, but I can see where you're saying with that.
You are mentioning so many different ailments, and it can't be contained all in one area.
And if that level of care is needed, we do, that's why there are the next level of care is a nursing home
But
and a hospital.
If you're waiting for the state to do it, or whether, forget it.
Have you already
Taught school too long.
well, and I'm gonna kind of redirect just a little
Yeah.
bit. Have you already started the process again for licensure?
Yes, we have.
And has there been discussion on what the potential outcome of that? Are you just waiting on this, or are you already in the pre-stages of approval? Like, what does that look like?
This is one of the things we're waiting on. I will say it's really challenging. We wanted to go through the city because we want the support of the city, but it falls under the Fair Housing Law and the Fair Housing Act. And so that's a route we didn't want to have to go because we want to make sure that we're hearing all the concerns of the community. This is one of the last things we're waiting on. The only other thing that's not up to code, we have our administrator ready, is that we're having to put in an internal sprinkler system, which will just help with fire safety. So that, I don't know if that fully answers your question, but everything else is set to go. And the last thing is, we have to develop the level of care needed, and so that will be very plain and laid out. And when it exceeds that, that the level of care needed for a hospital, nursing home, the state regulates that we're not able to maintain that.
Correct.
Okay. I will just say that one of my biggest concerns is that you're leasing or you're renting. And so you could go to your lease, something happened, and then we've made this property, we've changed it from a resident property, and then now the city has designated that place as a residential place instead of, it's not a residential anymore. And then then the city has to backtrack and try to pull that back in if we would approve that. And it's not something that, if, it's different if you came in and you purchased it. And you came in and said, this is my intent, this is our design, this is what we want to do, this is what we're presenting, but that's not what we're presenting here.
Well, we actually did a lease to own, so it is, it's basically creative financing because the property is expensive and we poured a lot of money into the property. So I don't know if that makes some comfort, but we've invested a solid amount and helped. The process that we do is actually helping bring someone out of a really tough situation. So we're in it for the long haul as far as our investment, and it's a lease to own.
So you're in contract to buy the property?
Yes.
And we're not changing the residential zone. We're only allowing them a special exception in the zone. It stays a residential zone.
So does it change at all?
It only allows a special exception. And at any time, if this changes, the special exception can be removed.
And
It's just allowing them a special exception to have that as a residential care facility in a residential zone.
And from my understanding, if it was to change at all, anytime someone else comes in with a new home, they have to go through the new licensing process automatically with the state. And so this would be another conversation that would be brought to the attention.
Okay. Okay.
A special exemption is granted and then we have to have it removed. It's not as simple as it just goes away. It's a whole new process.
Yeah, we'd have to research that, probably have our attorneys look at it and see how to have it removed, but it's a
Big change, because it creates a hassle again.
but it can, I'm pretty sure it can be removed if anything happened with their house. So then,
Here are ideas, thoughts, and plans, and you think it can be removed. That's a problem.
no, I'm saying if this doesn't work out for them and you don't want this special exceptions to stay on that house, from what he's saying,
Then we have to fight to get it off, is what you're saying.
no.
Yes, that's what you just said.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna check with the attorney.
Hi, if somebody else wants to speak. Come on up. Thank you.
First off, you're brave, and I think you're amazing, and you're obviously passionate. And I don't believe location will affect your passion. You'll find something even if they deny this, and it's clear that you're passionate. It's amazing. So I just applaud you for that. My concern, and it's relief to hear that it isn't assisted. That's a huge relief compared to what we've dealt with. My only concern now, though, is that Heartland, the corporation that's doing it, it seems like this is their first run at an assisted living place. And it also sounds like a mental health facility more. So just some clarity on that, or what they are going to do to ensure the success of this, to be able to take care of the people that would actually be there, because it just seems like they haven't done this, and that's my only new concern.
We'll check into that, we'll see.
That's just my new concern. As far as it being assisted living, awesome, way better than what we've had, and you're passionate, and even if they deny us, you're going to find a place, and it's going to be amazing. So I applaud you for that. So I just don't want this to be because this place financially benefits us, or hey, let's try this type of thing. So that's all.
Thank you. So we'll wait in a couple minutes and see if our mayor can provide his information.
And I just want to take a second and clarify, I didn't gather from you that this was a mental health facility versus an assisted living facility where individuals of an older age are needing assistance. Is that correct?
Yeah, and that's why I make sure I'm not going for my administrator license, because my passion is mental health and I want to support the aging population, because getting old is really hard. And so it goes, hand in hand with making sure that's okay, but everything I do with mental health is completely separate. It just adds to my passion.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I just called the city attorney, and he said the exemption stays with the building. So if they were to leave, it's still there. So,
Okay, thank you. So,
But listed as a residential care facility, because that's what we're titling it.
whatever it would be changed to, that's what it would stay until it's removed.
so I need
Building, not the building.
Right.
so I need to get a motion
And state what your motion is.
to close.
No, no, we're just making a motion for approve, deny, whatever.
Okay,
This
we're
is
making a
what-
motion to approve or deny?
So that's what you're looking for.
I'll make that motion to approve, the exemption,
Special exception.
the special exception, sorry. I was looking for my, deal with
Words.
all my notes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
You want me to take a vote?
Yeah,
Yes.
take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Brakefield?
Yes.
Kraft?
No.
Littlefield?
Yes.
Darnell?
No.
So we have a tie. Well, what do we do in a tie?
Is there any last minute concerns I can do to address?
He's a tiebreaker on.
Seriously, the parking, I struggle now to get in and out of my driveway. If you start shuttling a bus in and you try to park the residents' families plus the staff in that area, it's gonna be impossible. I mean, hey, I've cared for elderly, I've cared for my grandmother, I've cared for lots of family members, I'm passionate about that too, absolutely, but it's not a good idea.
So at this point, we're closed for discussion. We're just waiting on what to do.
I just haven't had that happen before.
So I do want to reiterate to everybody that's present, it doesn't matter what this board says. If this board says yes or no, it still goes to the city council for approval.
No.
No?
Board of Adjustment is the deciding board.
For this one?
Board of Adjustment is a deciding vote. Planning and zoning goes to
Gotcha.
council. Board of Adjustment.
Oh, zoning,
Decide,
okay.
yeah.
That other stuff.
Yeah. You almost got out of it.
I was trying.
All right, so we're earning it tonight. Okay, so since you have a tie and you're short a board member, you can either send it to the council as a split vote. That would be not for tomorrow night's council, that would be 16th, or no, the 2nd. Or you can schedule another meeting when you have a full board.
I would rather schedule a meeting when we have 5.
So you guys will need to take a vote on that.
Okay. Need a recommendation to,
I don't have a calendar in front of me to look at. Can you pull out your phones and look at a calendar? Sarah, do you have time restrictions to another date for a meeting?
No, it can be possible.
Because we'll have to look at our city calendar too. Do you have a?
We can do
And I guess I need to,
next.
so I can throw the motion out either way and we'll still vote. It'll still be a no, yes or no. It's fine.
Street meeting, so we can
Just give me time to look it up there.
Just come back.
Or we can do it at 5, be one item at 5. We do it in a half hour. Thursdays, like, do Thursday. They do their meeting at the
What date is that?
28th.
We could do Thursday, the 28th.
20th of March.
28th?
I can do that.
Thursday, the 28th? Thursday, the 28th?
Need a motion to reschedule this meeting for a follow-up meeting for the 28th of March.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, 5:30?
Somebody that wants to be present for that meeting can come for that meeting. And this meeting is adjourned.
We need to take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. I'm gonna get that.
Make the motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
It's one missing member. Stacy Barker. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you can basically come to that
You
meeting
can come to that
again.
meeting. If you have anything to take away or to add? I'm sorry?
Probably not, no. It'd just be the 28th, 5:30. It'll be posted downstairs on the board, and you can check it anytime. It'll be basically just like this. I'll send you that agenda. It'll look just like this. There's one person that did not come tonight. That would make that sway vote go either way to have a 3-2 or 2-3. Stacy Barker. S-T-A-C-Y. B-A-R-K-E-R.
I've had experience.
No, no. I don't know who it is. Well, her is, not,
Cheryl.
it is, Haley. H-A, hang on, I have it here somewhere. I just had my paperwork. What do I do with my paperwork? H-A-L-E-Y-D-A-R-N-E-L-L.
And then Kenny is
Little.
K-E-N-N-Y.
Uh-huh, yeah. Stacy is not an E, S-T-A-C-Y, yeah. Yeah, I don't know her family, so I couldn't tell you who.
Has the city done acceptance to that property before?
No. They just,
Didn't say a lot.
yes, yes, because she thought that he had one, and we searched and searched, and he searched and searched.
Never knew.
He had one.